Horizon Chess, Home UX, and this is The Paradox of an Infinite Universe by Kurzgesagt nutshell. Somehow missed this one. I usually don't miss Kurzgesagt videos. When they are posted, I'm like, I have to watch this. But yeah, this was posted yesterday. Paradox of an infinite universe. First of all, any physical thing being infinite is like, there are many paradoxes there, right? So if laws of physics, if they were to make sense, not mathematical level, physical level, nothing can be really infinite, right? It's only, let's say, how is a universe infinite to you? Maybe the speed you can travel is slower than the universe is expanding. So for you, it might as well be infinite, but it's not really infinite, right? Or you have limitation of observation. For you, it's like, like forever going, but there might be physical limit to it or expanding limit, right? The universe is going to be like a finite physical thing that is like keep expanding. So there was like like many arguments about infinite universe, something called javelin argument, very old one. Basically, like analogy was used like, if you throw a javelin, if it keeps going, basically something like that. But that didn't take into account a lot of things, like finite universe doesn't have to be like a end point. It can expand on a lot of things. So I don't think infinite makes sense in anything physical. Infinity makes sense in like mathematics and a lot of theories. But yeah, it doesn't make sense in physical world. But yeah, who knows? I don't know which point he's going to talk about here, but it's going to be interesting because that is awesome. Whenever there's like any physics related things like this, is part of the topic, is always awesome, right? Yeah, Kurzgesagt uses a lot of different things, right? Kurzgesagt talks about biology, physics, anything space related, even psychological topics, some hypothetical, let's assume this type of way, which is always fun. So let's watch this one. Remember, flag my don't forget to subscribe, so I know we start videos to react to more. Check out the next Sunday, there's a link in the description, check out the end card, and yeah, that's what it.
Is the universe infinite? Does it have an edge? And if so, what would you see if you went there? Today, we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago and that it's been expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years.
By the way, Windows 11 is fucking annoying, right? I don't even know how to mute the notification. That was easy in Windows 10. By the way, this physical thing is like the level of ego it takes for us humans to think. If there is an edge, can we get to like what we'll see beyond it? What makes you think you can get to it? There are physical limitations like speed of light and a lot of things. I like people still like that theory about like what there are wormholes. The Einsteinian theory talks about it. Yeah, but a lot of things that Einsteinian theory talks about it has limitation. There's a reason why Einsteinian physics fails at a black hole and center of the black hole and things like that. So just because it talks about it doesn't mean it's real, right? So even if there's like let's just say a border that we can see, what makes you think we can get to it in the first place?
When we look outwards, what we see is a sphere centered on us, the observable universe. But it gets a tad more complicated. Because the universe has been expanding, we know that the most faraway things whose light we can see are actually 45 billion light years from us right now. So the observable universe is a sphere with a radius of 45 billion light years. It contains around 200 billion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. So for us, there is an edge. We're looking at the past until there is just no past left. This edge is really more like an edge in time and, in a sense, meaningless. The real universe is for sure bigger than what we can see. But how much? There are two options. Either the universe is really big but finite, or it's truly infinite. A finite universe means that if you want to fill it with ice cream, you can do it. You need a lot of ice cream, but it is a finite amount. But that leads to a weird problem. Such a universe should have an edge, a cosmic wall where space ends. And if there's an edge, there should be something outside that edge. But the universe by definition is all there is.
What is that, GTA or what was it? The memes in internet, video game memes, where somebody's walking some obstruction comes and they're still walking but they're stuck at one place. Like, I'm imagining something like that. You're on an edge, trying to walk. You're walking, but you're not moving past that edge. There you go. There is the limitation.
So, how could there be stuff outside all there is? Does the idea of something outside of everything even make sense? Except, of course, there is a physics hack. You can have a universe that has no border, but that still could be filled with a finite amount of ice cream. What if the universe is truly finite? Imagine an orange and a really tiny ant. The ant can only see a small piece of the skin, just as you can only see a small chunk of the universe. But if the ant starts walking, it will eventually walk around the whole orange and be back to its starting point. So the skin of an orange is not infinite, but it doesn't have a border. The universe is not like the skin of an orange, but it could be very similar. Instead of a sphere, it could be a hypersphere, where 3D space is curled on itself, which is impossible for your brain to visualize, unfortunately. But the point...
Okay, I like he's going to 4D element of it. We can't really understand 4D. Not just understand, it feels stupid to us, right? Like, let's just say something round, right? On two-dimensional space, it makes sense. But how do you make donut space universe, let's just say, which is 3D, right? That's the whole point. Won't you able to look, there will be multiple edges if it's like a donut shape, isn't it? Right? Let's say if it goes that way 3D and like turns around and comes back, then there should be edges on both sides, not just front and back, right? Front and back might be infinite, but there should be edges left and right. That's how it works in donut, right? Anything like pipe shape. But that's the point. That implies in 3D. If something is 4D and it has like a donut shape, but it's in like 3-dimensional, your brain just stops working, isn't it? So if there are more dimensions than 3D, yeah, it makes sense.
It is no borders, no outside of the hypersphere. From our human ant perspective, our whole 3D space is like the peel of the orange. If you were aboard a spaceship flying in a straight line, you would eventually come back to Earth. How does any of this make sense? The actual physics is hard, so we have to simplify and lie a bit here. But in a nutshell, it all boils down to gravity. The way it works is that mass creates gravity by bending space-time. This bending is the strongest where the mass is, but sort of stretches on forever, like a very mild tension in the fabric of space-time itself. This could bend the whole universe in a way where it bends back on itself, which then makes the hypersphere. If you find this confusing, we're with you. If the universe happens to be a hypersphere, how could we find out how big it is? On Earth, we can see things disappear below the horizon.
Basically, whenever you see the lensing effect around black holes, right? You see things that are directly behind a black hole, but it's not because it's bending. Something similar to that, but it's universe, right? If you go straight, there's a high chance you might come back where you started, even though you didn't move at all. Something like that.
And that helps us calculate how big the Earth is. Scientists tried to find some sort of universe horizon that would reveal the scale of the cosmic sphere, but didn't see anything. Which means that if the universe is a hypersphere, it needs to be so big that from our perspective, it looks like we're living on a flat surface. For this to make sense, a hyperspherical universe should be at least 1,000 times bigger than our observable part. It could be 1 trillion times bigger for all we know, but not smaller than that. Some scientists thought all of this is way too straightforward and came up with a wilder option. The universe could be like the frosting of a donut. A hyperdonut, also impossible to visualize for your brain. This too means that if you...
Yeah, see, the donut thing has been floating around a lot. Somehow it gained traction recently. I've been hearing that a lot, right? 4-dimensional, but like a 3-dimensional way of donuting, which is like... so yeah, I heard... Is this why you know, because I made a video because it is somehow getting traction or something? I don't know.
Travel in a straight line, you'd get back to where you started, but with fun complications. In a hyperdonut universe, there's not the same amount of stuff in every direction. If 2 spaceships fly in different directions, one could get back to the start way earlier. This also means that light from faraway galaxies would do fun and...
Oh, that makes sense. Like, you're not inside a donut which could hit a wall. You're on top of the donut, right? You're thinking of going straight, but you might come back. In some direction, it will take a longer time for you to come back. Oh, that is so good. Same thing as a lensing effect, like I said. If you go in straight line and somehow space bends, you're not going to know space bent, right? You really need to observe things around you to realize that. Right? If let's just say the black hole thing I was just talking about, like there's a star behind a black hole, but it's not there because it bends space and light bended. Star is like in the right side, not straight ahead. But if you go through the same path where the light came from, you would go straight and you still reach the star because you bent it as well because the space was bent. That makes sense.
Confusing stuff in a sort of cosmic hall of mirrors effect. We could see faraway things in two places, but not just that, we would see it in different moments in time, because its light would have taken much longer to travel in one direction than the other. You could see a star being born in front of you and see that same star die on the opposite side of the sky. How big would such a hyperdonut universe be? Well, because of its strange geometry, actually this is kind of the smallest possible universe, potentially just a few times bigger than the observable universe. But it could also be way, way bigger. We don't know. Okay, so much for finite universes. But what if it's truly infinite and space goes on forever? What would that be like?
See, anything that is not theoretical or mathematics, whenever you say infinite, it's just like my mind starts to hurt. What does that mean, infinite? It can't make sense with the laws of physics we have today. What does that mean, infinite? It's like, is it our ability to count that is like lesser than it is, then still finite, but we can count it? Is it truly infinite? What does that mean? Is the matter is getting, or the space-time getting generated faster than we can count it? Again, that is our limitation. That doesn't make this space-time continued infinite, right? So infinite means like, I don't know, it just feels weird. What does that mean? It's just there is going, that there is no end. So what does that mean, particle wise, right? Have we ever found anything, right? Even the virtual particle is like something you can count and just comes to exist, and something like that. Have we ever found that comes to like this magical thing that can even come close to being something as infinite? Have we find anything infinite in physical world?
What if the universe is truly infinite? Actually, the cosmological model used by most scientists describes an infinite universe. We mostly use it to calculate what happens inside our observable chunk, but if taken literally, it predicts an infinite universe. An infinite universe goes on, well, forever, with no border anywhere, also impossible to visualize. Wherever you look, you'll find more and more stuff in every possible direction. This kind of breaks our brain a bit for a few reasons. First of all, if the universe is infinite, is it also eternal and has been there forever? Was there a time when there was nothing everywhere and then there was something everywhere?
If it's infinite, it has to be eternal. It can't just exist infinite, right? It can't just come to be and it's infinite. What does that mean? Did it expand to be infinite? But if it expanded, it's not infinite. Doesn't matter how fast it expands, it's still expanding. Did it stop one way and like that's infinite? No, that just stopped somewhere. What does infinite mean? Big Bang can't make sense after that.
Well, we don't know, but we have a lot of evidence for the Big Bang, so it really seems like the universe started at some point in the past. But wait, since the Big Bang, the universe has been expanding. How can an infinite thing that's everywhere become even bigger? Cosmic expansion just means that the distance between galaxies is growing with time. Even an infinite space can become bigger. Welcome to the paradoxes of infinity. Infinity gets much weirder though. As you travel with your spaceship in a straight line, you find new galaxies, stars and planets, new wonders, new weird stuff, probably new aliens and new life forms stranger than you could ever imagine. But after a long time, you might find the most special thing in the universe, yourself. An exact copy of you watching this video right now. How can that be? Well, everything in existence is made of a finite amount of different particles. And a finite number of different particles can only be combined in a finite number of ways. That number may...
This just turned into that weird movies with weird things happening. You get confused and you panic. Anybody with OCD don't like this, right? Wait a minute, which one is real? Who's the important? Why are the 5 version of me now? What the fuck?
Be so large that it feels like infinity to our brains, but it's not really. If you have finite options to build things, but infinite space that is full of things in all directions forever, then it makes sense that by pure chance, there will likely be repetition. Although, just because something is possible, doesn't mean it will actually happen. Maybe the universe goes on forever, but only the boring stuff repeats itself endlessly. Maybe there is really only one you. But if the laws of physics are the same everywhere, then far, far away, gas could have given birth to stars and planets where primitive genetic information could emerge from chemistry, which might.
Yeah, what if like all the things we know, like periodic tables and everything, is like very region centric, and our observable universe is that region, but infinite things like other part exist as well. This might as well be like multiverse, but something you can travel to, rather than having pockets of, I guess. But even then, infinite is just weird.
Have ended up in cells and animals that evolved in really unlikely ways, and eventually apes that learn how to create online videos. It happened at least once, so the chance is not zero. Even if the chance of there being an exact copy of you watching this video right now is almost zero is still a huge number in an infinite universe. Unfortunately, you'll never meet, because almost zero still means the chance is incredibly small. Earth, as it exists right now, is so unlikely you'd have to travel incredibly far to find a second identical Earth. Some 10 to the 10 to the 29, a 1 followed by 100 octillion zeros, times the size of the observable universe, so far that it kind of means forever far away. Still, in a truly infinite universe, every combination of particles could reasonably not just occur only once, but an infinite number of times. So there actually might be an infinite amount of copies of yourself. All of them are living within their own observable universe. All of them looking at the sky, never able to ever interact with each other because all of you are so far apart. Maybe some of these versions made different decisions, fell in love with different people, took different forks in life. Maybe one of them has solved physics. Maybe another one is living your exact life but is wearing a funny hat.
I like how we humans basically wanted this infinite thing to happen, right? And we came up with multiverse, like there must be multiverse, and obviously there's like some theory behind it. But basically, like, oh wait a minute, infinite universe cannot be a thing. What do we do now? Okay, I guess all the universes have multiverses. Finite universe, but there are way too many, multiverses like that. There you go. This is basically that, but part of a one infinite universe.
But if there are so many infinite copies of you, identical to you, who are you? Well, it doesn't matter, because you are as real beings get if you exist infinite times or if you exist once.
I mean, if you create exact copy of you, literally like this second, up to this second, and the copy of you, which is literally copy of you, how you see it, the copy is still going to be copy. You're not going to see through copy's eyes. Copy is not going to see through your eyes. That's like two different entities now, right? Even though that copy will feel and act exactly as you, because the copy have the same experiences and memory as you. We are in the range of like consciousness debate now, which is like okay, right? Same thing with there was a Star Trek, right? They're like beaming particles, like how to go one place to another, and they just like use some method to beam particles, and somebody come out of there, right? I don't know who scientists talked about that. Like that's literally like either transporting atoms or copying atoms, whatever. How do you know that person is the same one they start off with? That person could be completely different, but it feels and acts like the same one because it doesn't know any better. But what if you died when you transported? Was it called Star Trek transporters or whatever? I don't know.
It's time to stop now. While these scenarios are possible on paper, we've entered science philosophy here. Currently, none of these ideas are testable or provable. If the universe is infinite, we will never know. The reality is, for us, the universe is finite and has an edge. And we can see the edge in time. Everything we can interact with is within the observable universe, and most likely, this will stay true forever. Even if this finite universe feels small to you, it's more than big enough to fulfill all the dreams that we and our descendants can ever come up with. Infinitely enough for all of us. While we can't be sure whether the universe is infinite, many
yeah, we will go to brilliant.org/nutshell, support this channel. Yeah, I mean, to us, this is the thing. A lot of scientists basically think about this and panic somewhat. That there are many answers we will never have as a species. Doesn't matter how long a species live on, because some answers are too big, right? And what if we hit a literal wall of how much we can understand and observe, right? Like, can we make a particle accelerator that is like bigger than the orbit of Neptune? Can we? Okay, sure we can. Can we do that with, let's just say, orbit of our solar system around our, galaxy? Can we make that big of particle accelerator? Because the more and more we go deeper, the more and more something like big particle accelerator, big things we need to come up with answers, right? String theorists are still talking about this, like, okay, we are talking about this, we don't know how to prove this because the thing we need to prove this doesn't exist and probably can't exist for a long time because we can't make it. So there are many literal walls we might come across that limits us to discover what is beyond or whatever, right? Is universe infinite? Well, space is expanding faster than light. We can travel at light. Okay, wormhole and all those shit. We are not even come close to thinking about if it's possible or not. So for us right now, might as well be impossible. There is no wormhole. There is no nothing, right? Can we travel? Okay, this theory and this math tells us, great. Is there anything physical that even come close to telling us that wormholes exist? No, it doesn't. So right now, that's not even a talk, right? The day wormhole exists, we can discover a lot of things. Who knows? But I don't know. Can wormhole even exist, right? Tachyons, like there was a time where people were feeling strong about tachyons. Tachyons gonna exist? No, it's not. It's just not. So what if wormhole is just that? What if there is no wormhole? What if speed of light is the limit for anything, right? What if beyond this is impossible? If that's the case, this question is useless. We will never know because space is expanding faster than speed of light. So yeah. Right, well, that was the paradox of an infinite universe by Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. If you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.